So you want to be a leader, but you're on the bottom of an organization and you don't have a team to lead. How is it that you could still be a leader even if you don't have a team? Hello leaders, my name is Jason Graziani and welcome to our channel, Leader for Life. Today we're going to be talking about how is it that you could be a leader from the bottom up. I recommend a book by John Maxwell, The 360-Degree Leader, and that talks about how you could influence people around you regardless of where you rank or where you fall within an organization. Today I'm going to give you 12 points on if you're just at the starting off point, or if you work in an office building or you work on a team, whatever you're leading, but maybe you're on the bottom right now and you want to add value and you want to be a leader. What is it that you could do? Let's start with human nature. Human nature, there's two rules I want you to know here as we're talking about this. Number one, people want to impress other people. And number two, people want to be somebody. So don't think that everybody on your team kind of just wants to stay where they're at. Everybody wants to impress people and everybody wants to come up because they want to be somebody within the organization. Here's how you do it. Number one, when you walk into a room, does the energy meter go up? Or does the energy meter go down? I want you to imagine that there's this clock or a thermometer that's on the wall, and it has like all these numbers changing, like the stock market in the 10th and the 100th position. And when you walk into a room, imagine that meter changes upward or changes downward. There's no such thing as having flat energy. You're either adding to the room or taking from the room. So the question is, when you walk into the room, do the other people in the room know that your energy went up and the room got better? The energy meter that I'm calling it, or did it drop? Number two, who opens and sets up the location? What do I mean by that? So let's just use an office building for the example here. I know when I was coming up as a leader, it was so important that my key opened the door when I got in the morning. Now, you may not have a key for your location, but whatever it is that sets up, if you're at a restaurant, are you there early helping the manager set up? Or are you coming in when it's time for you to start work? It's a very difference with a leader. So whatever you do, are you the one getting there first and helping it set up? Or are you just showing up to get your work done? Number three, at the end of the day, who cleans and sets down? That's kind of an annoying thing to do no matter what you are. I mean, you could be a football coach and picking up the pads or the balls, or you could be a tennis coach. You could be a pastor that's cleaning up the pews from everybody that sat at church. But whatever you do, whoever cleans at the end typically is respected more and is a leader in that organization. So make sure that at the end of the day, you're the one cleaning. Number four, do you speak the language of edification? And we use a phrase called positive gossip. So gossip is always seen to be a negative thing because most of the time gossip is negative. However, do you spread positive gossip? Meaning when you hear something good about somebody, do you keep that going and tell other people that something good was said about them? That's positive gossip. We use a phrase called edification, meaning to edify, meaning to speak highly about something. Your boss may come out with an initiative, and maybe other workers are not really excited about it. Maybe it even adds work to your plate, and you don't really want to do it. But if you speak highly and you edify the supervisors, the managers, your employer, the coaches, the pastor, if you speak really highly of them, that typically brings the energy level up and it improves, which means you're a leader when you do that. So make sure you speak the language of edification in any workplace setting. Number five, do you speak to people based off of who they could be or who they are? There's a phrase that I was taught called the Pygmalion Principle. And the Pygmalion Principle states that if you speak to somebody based off of where they're currently at, they'll stay where they're currently at. But if you speak to people as if who they could be, kind of like when you're speaking to a child and you want them to act more like a young adult. You won't speak in a high-pitched voice like, "Hey, Timmy, how are you?" You'll speak with, "Come on, Timmy, let's go." You'll speak a little bit higher to make them level up to being a young adult. And so that Pygmalion Principle, or seeing people for who they could be, not who they currently are, and you speak to them that way, you're being a leader from the bottom up. Number six, when you speak to your peers, do you say we or do you say you? So if you're in an organization and you constantly use you when describing other people, you naturally create a divide and you create a wall in between you and your peers, your coworkers, or the other people that you work with. However, if you say, "Hey guys, we got to be better. Hey team, we need to do this better. We're better than this." That language of we, what that does is it brings your partners together with you, and it kind of adds to the overall results and effectiveness of your communication skills in the workplace. So make sure you say we instead of you. Let's move over here. Number 7, for contractors. This is for people that are independent. It says, do you pay your rent first? So you may be a realtor. You may be in a tax office, you may be in the insurance business, and you may have a desk that you rent or an office that you rent. However that works, or you're a self-employed professional and you just have your rent that you pay to a landlord in a building. You're a business person and you're trying to really add value to yourself, and you want to be seen as a leader even though maybe you're in the starting off position. It's not only that you pay on time, it's the order in which you pay, people will pay attention. I know when I was a young entrepreneur and I had no assets and I was not seen as a really successful person at all, it was always important to me to pay my landlords on the 20th to the 25th instead of the 1st, because I knew that everybody else would pay on the 1st. But if I knew that if my landlords got my money 5 days, 6 days, 7 days early, not only would they see me as a responsible person, but you could also make some mistakes sometimes and they'll forgive you for the mistakes because they look at you as a responsible person that pays their rent early, not just on time. Very important that you not only pay and not have debts, but that you pay early. Let's look at point number 8. Do you wing it or do you prepare 2 to 3 times? What do I mean by 2 to 3 times? Let's just say that I have a 10-minute speaking engagement, or that I'm going to do any project that takes 10 minutes. The preparation for that 10-minute project or speech or talk should be about 30 to 40 minutes, at least 20, meaning 2 to 3 times the size. Let's say that your boss asks you to do an hour presentation where you're training. You should be preparing for 2, 3, 4 hours for 1 hour of training. So no matter what project you're asked to do, make sure that you come with preparation at least 2 to 3 times the amount of time that you're asked to speak for. Very important, because if people notice that you wing it, they're going to trust you less with future projects, and it may keep you in a kind of a smaller role within the organization. And if you want to come up and be a leader, you're going to have to prepare. Number 9, do you own what could be said about you? And let me explain what I mean by this. We deal with contracts and we deal with clients in my profession. And so one of the things that I teach my associates is this. When you fill out a contract and you set up a policy for a customer, I want you to imagine at the time that they set that contract up, they probably like you, they probably trust you, or they wouldn't be doing business with you. But then I ask this question of my agents. I say this: imagine 1 week later, the customer hates you. Imagine the customer just doesn't even want to have anything to do with you. And they say, I can't believe this. He's a liar. She's bad. I can't believe the service was terrible. I always process in my mind, if I'm engaging in a transaction, if I'm doing business with a customer, or I'm dealing with anybody, whether it's a contract or it's a customer buying pizza, no matter what, I always ask myself this: what can that person say about me? How could they misconstrue my words, my tone, my behavior? And you may not mean anything bad or negative, but we live in a day and age where people's actions and their words can be misconstrued and used against them. And so it's very important that you own the optics or the appearance of the way that you speak and the way that you act. And so this part here, do you own what could be said about you? Now, if somebody lies about you, they lie about you. You can't do anything about that. However, if there's some truth to what it is that they're saying, make sure that you own your words and that you own your actions if you want to be a leader. Number 10, do you treat your team in business like a jealous relationship? Let me explain what I mean by that, because some of these metaphors that we use are pretty unique. What I mean is this. We say, a phrase that we use in our business is, momentum is like a jealous girlfriend or boyfriend. If you don't pay attention to them, they'll leave you. For example, if you have a team, whether you have a small team or a big team, or you have any responsibility within the organization, if you don't treat that like a baby, which needs to be cared for and tended to all the time, or something really bad could happen, then usually something really bad will happen. And so a phrase that we use is, do you treat your team in your business or any project that's trusted for you to complete, do you treat it like a jealous relationship where it wants your time, your money, and your energy, and it's unapologetically wanting that from you? Make sure that you do that. Number 11, do you wait on your people? And then a second part is, do you quit on your people? Something very important. Leaders cannot wait on their people, but leaders should never quit on their people. So on one hand, you have to go forward even if some of the associates or agents or leaders that you work with are not moving at your pace. If you wait on them, sometimes the whole entire project, more people could be negatively affected by you waiting on a few people to pick it up. However, leaders also don't quit on their people. You might be frustrated, you might be upset, you might be annoyed, and you can't wait, but you can't quit. So there's a difference between I'm not waiting on you, we're moving forward, and I'm quitting on you. So you can never quit, but don't wait either. Number 12, do you apologize for being yourself, or are you unapologetically you? You see, if you're trying to come up, because remember the title of this entire project here is Being a Leader from the Bottom Up. If you're on the bottom and you're trying to come up, if you apologize for who you are, nobody's going to take you seriously because you need to have conviction in who you are. People will respect you, although they may not always like you. However, if you seek to be liked most of the time and you apologize for everything instead of saying, no, that's how I feel, that's what I believe, and that's my core conviction. One of mine is serve people and treat them right. You'll hear that over and over and over again when I talk, whether I'm on video, whether you know me in person. I won't change. I believe that leadership is serving people and treating them right, and I am unapologetic about that. And so I have my core convictions, and you need to have your core convictions too. So even if some people don't like you, because remember, when you're not a threat, people will like you because you're not a threat. But when you're coming up as a leader, sometimes peers, they get a little jealous or they get a little frustrated with you, and then they're going to start taking some shots. Maybe they're even going to lie about you. Maybe they're going to do some things to you that you don't really like. It's very important in those times that you stand your ground and you say, I don't apologize for who I am. I respect people. I'm going to treat people right, but I am who I am, and I'm unapologetically me. Hey team, I hope that these 12 points helped you out. I hope that if you're on the bottom of your organization right now, I hope you know your importance. I hope you know that maybe you're not called the manager yet. Maybe you're not called the director yet. Maybe you're not called the vice president yet. But I want you to know that you're very important to your organization. And you could add a lot of value to your team. And your leaders, your coaches, and your supervisors will love if you implement these 12 points in your organization. And who knows, you might get pulled from the bottom up and you may be in a leadership position before you know it if you follow these steps. I hope you enjoyed the material. I'd like you to subscribe to our channel, Leader for Life. Go ahead and like the video as well as leave us a comment. We'd love to know what you think and what we could do to improve and produce more content for you in the future so that you can choose to be a leader for life. Take care and God bless.